Hi, it's Juliana Coles. Welcome back to Field Notes 2023. Restarted, restarted, restarted. So, I already have quite a few videos, some from 2020, 2010 and 2012, where I feel like I look quite a bit younger. Sort of interesting to go back in time and watch that and look at the books that I was sharing and talking about my process then, etc. And so I don't necessarily need to go back over any sketchbooks. Those videos are great ideas, but my practice certainly has changed since then. It was really exciting to watch me in 2010 and then 2012 and see how far that practice had gone. And I guess we think of like, oh, 2 years is such a long time, but it's really a short time as I look at me now and how much has changed. So I wanted to go over some of those books with you, and I don't have my glasses on, so I'm just gonna grab them. I feel like this was already done when you guys saw this last. If it wasn't, it is now, and I don't work like this anymore. I had a lot of Tombow markers. They have two tips. One's like pointy, and then the other's like a brush, kind of like a watercolor marker. And a lot of them, I'm trying to find one, but a lot of these, when I did them, the way that they turned out, the way that they did, is because the markers themselves weren't really working anymore, and I was able to get some cool. I should have looked at this before. Some cool textures in it. I'm kind of looking for a piece, and I don't really. Let me see it. I guess this one, and I liked it because it's sort of, there's some writing in here. It's kind of fuzzy and blurry, and mainly because the markers didn't work. So there's a certain softness to this that's not in the other ones, and I pretty much stopped using Tombow markers. I don't really use them anymore. I'm not really sure why that is. So it's just interesting and engaging how the practice changes. I don't know if I mentioned that this was a rag and bone journal, and I don't know if they're even a company anymore, if they even make those. But they made that great book that's still collectible, is making journals by hand. So if you can find it, get it. It's kind of oldie but goodie. Okay, so this one is the Moleskine or Moleskine, I don't know how you say it, journal, with this little thing that of course is kind of all stretched out. But this was the San Francisco journal. If you saw the other videos, you saw me talking about it. So it comes like this with the map in here and everything. And I did a few pages there in San Francisco, took some notes, did some sketches there, and then, that's all that was in there. So there's still, half the book. And I think that's what's hard for me working in a travel journal in a full book. I see people kind of doing, little signatures and then putting them together so that you don't have all this book and then think, oh, well, I don't want to do anything in here because it's not San Francisco. So, I don't know, travel journals are always hard for me. But I'll get back to this book because I think this is a good little pocket size to have as we go along. This is another Stillman and Byrne book. I love this. I don't know if I showed this before. It's a little bit smaller. No, it doesn't have that doubled edge. Actually, some of them do. So I guess they had some that are torn and some that are just stuck in here. And I worked in this. This is my, I worked on this in Morocco. I had an artist residency there in 2016 or 2017, something like that. And everything's falling out. And I think I worked on it other places too, but this, oh yeah, here's something from California, little trip there. But it's mostly Morocco. It's not exactly finished, but I think that I felt that I just didn't want to work in it anymore. And I'll show you guys as I go along the way that I finish things, that I complete them. This really isn't that, but I think that it felt done to me. And anyway, but it's a nice size. It's a little bit thick, in terms of, that's a lot of pages to fill. But the paper was really, those rag and bone journals, they use really nice paper. Let's see. I may have started this one in 2012, with the rounded corners, the red book, because I love the red. And it was really hard, and I didn't like anything in it when I started. And when I finished this, I really, there was something so exciting about that because I just had learned so much about working. And I still forget, but really just hating this the whole time. And thinking, I suck, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm never going to finish this, what's the point? And actually, I think I did this the last time I did a field notes class, so I'm not sure. I didn't put a date on this, so I don't know when I did that, but that was a stakeout. Adding things from my figure drawing group that I glued in, and there's a dude. So just working in this, and it really, I work back and forth, and I go to the end, and I add things in, and I go back to the beginning. So I'm layering drawings over drawings, and words and drawings, and making comments on my comments and notes on my notes, until little by little the whole thing is filled. I guess this is my old truck key. That's so cute. I don't know why that's on it, but so this is the little red book, and I love it. And of course, this is all stretched out. I don't know what to do about that. But I really got into this size. I remember saying in the video that square was really hard, and it was. It really was. And working this small, it really was hard. So we're talking, that's like 2012 when I started that. I'm not sure when I finished. Sometimes I put that on the end. And yet, I finished it 2013. That's interesting. I feel like it took me longer than a year, but that's pretty good for me. That seems kind of short. So then, another book I talked about was this one that my friend Tracy Bunkers gave to me. This like Flex It. It was like a soft cover sketch. Again, the square, and it was like this, and it just, I was like, I'm never gonna finish that. That's way too intimidating. And I remembered a teacher I had in art school, Baron Story, who with his sketchbooks, he cut every single one of them in half. And then, put another cover on. And then, so he was breaking them down and making them smaller and more manageable. So that's what I did. I cut it in half, I left the cover, and then put a new cover on the back of it. And this looks like I used an album, a record album cover, put it on, and then just, glued the page to it, put some tape around it, and that was one half, and then that was the other half. And I don't know exactly if I worked on them, simultaneously. And you'll remember, like, there was that postcard of my sister, and then this all got finished, and notes, and again, just the layering and the layering. And this one, again, feels a little bit more about that mixed media sketchbook, more the visual journal, because I have a lot of these, like, this one's really more that black and white pen, and I really like that. And this one, I think, I was trying to figure out some other things. Oh, so this is in California, the mast of the Queen Mary. I love that. And I love how, again, that layering, like, there was something here, there was something over here I didn't like. So, I just turned it, drew this on top, painted out the background a little bit, and then called it done. I don't really know what this grid is here, but it's cool. I like it. And even drawing little things over notes that I took. In this book, nowadays I would not have a journal writing page in my book like that. So that's interesting to me that that's there, and I left that there. And, we talked about adding ledger pages in that other video, and so this is behind this. So a lot of times I do that. If there's a page and I don't especially like it, and I've worked it and added, and it's kind of not going anywhere, I allow myself to start over. So this looks like something I glued on top of a page and then was happy with it. Like some simplicity there. But yeah, adding color and photographs and going and going and going. This one, the same thing. I added a new cover to the top, glued the other page on, and this one also has some, more collage and other photos of me in here and just different things and layering. Again, this is maybe more of a hybrid for me. Not quite a sketchbook, not quite a visual journal, but sneaking somewhere in between, a nice little crossover. I guess for me, what I'm thinking about with the sketchbooks is, and I've talked about this in the class, where most of my work is so internal. So it's like I'm inside, I'm in the house, I have a big table in the house, or I'm out here in the studio, and I'm really isolated. But with drawing, somewhere, going somewhere to draw or to make notes of what I see, is really fun and different for me, because normally I do figures or something, and this is something I haven't done since before COVID. Like go out, watch a band, and just quickly draw. Just gestures of what's going on. And I used to do that a lot and draw people while I was out and about, and I don't really do that anymore. I'd like to get back into that. Looking forward to that with this class. This one. Okay, so somewhere along the line, and I don't know what year, this says 2013, so it was probably shortly after I did that class and that video for you guys, but Stillman and Byrne, who's a sketchbook company, and maybe they make other art supplies, contacted me to say would I like some of their sketchbooks. They'd love to, maybe they thought, that I would promote them, which normally, if somebody said, oh, would you like something? Oh, yeah, I'll just take that. That's good for me. And I made a list, and that was really fun and exciting, and they sent me every single one. So I got this little one, and the paper's pretty thick. I like this size, and this looks like a little bit of a travel journal. They're always mixed in because I don't separate anything. But this looks like Hawaii, and this was a nice size to have because I could just have it in my purse, my little beach bag, and then other trips, other drawings. And definitely it's different, working in this size as to square. And I don't know. So I did like this book. This book was fun to work in it. I enjoyed it a lot. But I'm sure that I felt as I was going, like, I'm just going. I'm just working. Whether I probably didn't like it, I probably thought it sucked, until it gets to the end and I'm like, oh, that's interesting how it goes. And other than the travel things, and even those I kind of work back on top of, they're so non-linear. Like this might be 2013, this is 2013, this is 2013, this is 2017, because I just am working back and forth, and a little bit on one page, a little bit on another page, and I just keep going and layering. So let's see. This looks like another Stillman. So this is another Stillman and Byrne I got, and I think I got like 4 of them or something, and they were all different. I tried different papers, and this one, it says Zeta, so I probably was trying to keep note of what the books were, but the paper is like cardstock. It's really, really thick. And this is 2015, and I think I got through this pretty quickly. There's not a lot of pages in it. So 2015, I was thinking, I need to reinvigorate my practice. So I took a class at the Art League here in Albuquerque with Vas. I think Vas Vasilius' his last name. No, I can't. Sorry, you guys, my brain just does not work anymore. But anyways, everybody knows him here as Voss. And he was a great teacher, and it was so much fun. So I loved making my little kit here. He had us use viewfinders, and we can do that in the class too. You just kind of, it's easier to say, like, this is perfect for this book. If I was using a square book my viewfinder would be square, and then I would see my composition there. You know, he is much more of a traditional artist than I am, but we learned, you know, perspective and stuff. And I often do on my pages like a pen test. So here I am testing some new black pens. I buy a lot of black pens and drawing pens and ink pens, and I almost always end up going back to my Bic pen or the pen I get at the bank. I'm very heavy handed, so if it's like a marker tip, um, I push down too hard and I can't really get it to work for me. So here we are, just, and I don't know, I love this book. It was really fun. It's different for me, just, you know, all these tests and examples from the class. But that's something interesting that you can do too, is that like you take the one thing and the repetition and you just keep making it. I guess I'm experimenting here. We had some different composition things that we learned. He called this a notan, Notan. It's Japanese. We went to museums and drew the paintings there and the compositions. It was a really fun class, and I really loved it and had a good time, and really had a good time with my book and doing something different. So it is fun to take other people's classes. I do it too. I take plenty of classes. Okay, let's see, more Stillman and Burns. So this one is still in process. And I think another thing that is different, like I don't normally have a sketchbook for my studio where I'm working out ideas or I'm working out compositions. The way that I work, I just sit down and work. I don't have an idea. I don't have a preconceived notion. I'm just working and then seeing what happens. So, you know, my process takes a really long time. But I was working on some, like, making pirate cats, sea cats. And let's see if they come in. But so just working out some of the ideas in there. And this one I just glued some things in, testing out pens. I don't know what this is. But this paper is fairly thick too. But this was like I was working out, I made a tattoo. I made a pirate tattoo for a book that I put out. Oh, here's this sketch on my studio porch. So this is my studio. You guys could see this. And just playing with lettering. So you can see this one's definitely not finished. It has a long way to go. But this is one I consider it my studio book. So it says Notebook 1. That stays in the studio. And this one, I don't know if this is a Stillman and Burn. Whatever it is, I cut it in half and, you know, put a new cover on it. Let's get that guy back in there. And just this one, gluing stuff in that I like, just some different ideas, but this looks like some artist that I was interested in. So yeah, this I don't know what the difference is. Oh yeah, you know, like I'm trying to work out my pirate cat stuff. I don't know, you know, just really incomplete. Like it's not like the other ones where I'm just like working the entire page. Like I'm allowing this to be, you know, probably an actual artist sketchbook. This is probably what most artist sketchbooks look like. Just doodlings, dabblings, experimentations. You know, I tried to cut a little kitty cat rubber stamp. It didn't come out very well. Just working things out here. Yeah, so that was that book. Still, you know, that's still in process. That's in my studio. What's this guy? I don't know. He has no labels. Oh, so this is another one that had really thick pages. And one I don't like because I can't turn the pages. It's like a new deck of cards. You know, you can't shuffle it. So I don't really like this. But I like some of the things in here. Like I like this little guy. I like this. I did this paint thing, and I don't know why, but I really like it. I think I was trying to figure out what paints to take with me to Morocco, so I wanted to test all my colors. This I painted. I must have had something under here I didn't like. So painting it out to make a new background to draw on top of. I don't know what these things are. And just shoes. I did a drawing of my living room and then was wondering what it would look like if I put a stencil over it. So it's kind of a crazy thing. Just making little blocks to work in. So that one's kind of thick, and that's another thing. Let me see if I'll come back to this guy. Okay, Stillman and Burns. This guy. So we have the little red guy. I had the little red book. So then I realized I really loved that book, and I loved the rounded corners, and I loved the size of it, and I loved the square. So after working in these Stillman and Burn books, I decided I want to get back to that square. So this one, I don't know when I started this, but let's see if I usually have it somewhere. So this says 2016. So I started this in 2016, and I had a good friend I had a lot of people that died, but I had a good friend that died, and that's in here too. What was the date? Yeah, so this was 2016 to 2023. So I just finished this year, and different trips and stuff. This is actually in my yard. We have the sculpture of this spider we made for Halloween, but it took a long time to finish it because more pen practices because I didn't work in it very much. There's some California trips. I don't know. But my trip to Portugal is in here. So this must have been the book that I took there to work in. I think I had another book there because I think I had a smaller one. Yeah, I like this page where, and then I remember this one. Oh, so I'm a member of the Albuquerque Urban Sketchers group, and that's really fun. And that's probably when I do get to sketch, when I go out with them. And I encourage you to join one in your city. They're all over the world. There's probably one in your city. And they meet once a month, maybe more often, but here we meet once a month for 2 hours. And we go to some place, like this was at the Nuclear Museum. We went there, and we all sketched and drew there. And it's really fun to talk to everybody, like, oh, what kind of book is that? Oh, what kind of pen are you using? What kind of watercolors are those? And we're just sharing, and it's fun and exciting. And so I remember drawing this and thinking I would do something here, or that this was just a test page. I should finish it. And I guess I was just getting to the end of the book, and I was like, I'm just leaving it. I'm just going to leave some of this stuff here. Oh, at the zoo, that was probably with the Urban Sketchers, some zoo stuff. Just kind of leaving some stuff blank, which is unusual for me. So I really like these little square books, and I often, make like a little block in here to do my drawings in. Let me see if I can find some more. So that I can, and then I would do my words around the edges, like, I don't know, just kind of making these squares or blocks. I mean, now it looks like everything I work to the edge, but a lot of these I would, make a boundary, which I can't find it. Anyways, it's what I usually do, but apparently not in this book. So this book I have, somebody gave it to me, and it had different kinds of paper in it, and then a perforated thing here that you could take out. So there was graph paper and stuff. And so some of these things I was taking out, the pages. But as I did, this whole thing fell apart. I don't know who makes this, but this is like one of my least favorite, shittiest books ever. Yeah, I don't have it in here. I don't see it anywhere who made this book, but it sucked. Oh, what's this? Oh, that's kind of nice. It's got a little folder in here. And you can do that. You can do that with your book, and then you can shove stuff in there. But yeah, it was a good idea, like the different papers, and probably they thought the perforations was a good idea, but in the end, it's just shitty. So I just kind of use it here in the studio. I take pictures out if I need them, or if I need some graph paper, I take it out of there. This was the cover. You guys saw this, in 2012. I think had to have been this one. And I ended up taking this book to Morocco, and I also worked in this there. Like, I started out, I wanted to start in Albuquerque because my idea was desert to desert. Of course, I got to where I was in the north of Africa, and it's really more of the Mediterranean, so it wasn't the desert. But okay, so So I started here in New Mexico, doing some things here. You know, sometimes I draw that way or this way, and tickets and stuff. And then, so I haven't finished this yet. I'd like to. It's always hard to go back because there's always something going on. There's always some reason to move forward. But I loved this book, and I loved this landscape size. You know, it would be the same size this way. And actually, it's not. You know, a lot of these. You know, one of the things I didn't like about the Stillman and Burn, I don't know if that's a Stillman and Burn, but how it's kind of tall and thin, like compared to this one. It's tall and thin, and so the proportions of it, I don't like. If it was maybe this high, I would like it better. But yeah, I don't really like that. So I learned that I liked this landscape thing, and so that was in this book, and especially when I went to Morocco, like this, that she made this cover for me. This was just too much to be putting in my bag and taking it out. I didn't want to break it, and I've never put that back on. So then after that, oh, I think it's through Stillman and Burn, I got a landscape one. I love this book, and I'm sure I didn't at the beginning. I'm sure it took a long time to love it. So I worked on this from 2013 to 2018. And I guess all just different kinds. So this, I think, is with my urban sketchers group that we went to the museum, and I drew in it there. But this is really so I started out with this. It was, you know, some statues in the museum. It was like, dang, every time I draw something, it's too high. Like, I need a taller book. You know, I just kind of got that across. But there was something that later I really liked about how it's cut like that, and it would have probably just been this, and then later adding more things, and later adding more things. So this looks like I took this to Portugal as well. So I think this is in Porto. I'm on the other side. This is also at the museum. So, you know, there's all this layering of things back and forth. But that's interesting because, you know, from Porto, Portugal, which is really, and for us, it's the same colonial period. These, you know, these conquistadors here in our museum, experimentations of stuff, you know, adding cards in to make it longer, the airport, I don't know, my backyard, you know, and still sort of not quite just the black and white. There's a lot more other things going on here. But I think what, you know, something like drawing things at the museum, paintings, I think what I like about the sketchbook, because everything I do is mixed media, is that there's more drawing in here than anything else. So I think that's what makes it a sketchbook. You know, I'm trying to draw more in my visual journals, and I think that kind of got inspired by this practice, you know. So I take this on trips. I draw in pencil, not that often, but sometimes in this. And actually, you know what? This might be from Voss's class. Yeah, I think this is. Yes, this is. So I also used this in his sketchbook class. So that was fun. And yeah, just more. I don't know why I really. So yeah, I'm really thinking that I love this size, and I love the square. You guys saw this one. This is sort of my first sketchbook, getting back into it. You know, and I called it a field of dreams, and it's really falling apart. I tried to tape it and get it back together. This is like my first getting back to a sketching practice, you know, since being in art school. Because my sketchbooks turned into visual journals, and then that's what I did, and then that's what I taught, and that's what I did. But this is, I love this book. I really do. It's so important to me. It's funny. But yeah, I love it. And then this one, I was just showing you guys. It was pristine. Someone had made this for me. You know, Coptic stitch here, whatever that's called, with the book covers. And I did work on it here. And I took this with me to Morocco, and it was another one of those things where it's, I'm doing things in it, and I just think I suck, and I think everything sucks, and I go to Morocco, and I'm working in this there too, and just really unhappy with everything. But once I finished it and got to the end, there was such a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment and like ass kickingness. So when I got back from Morocco, I did a show called Stripped, and I printed up every single page from this book and did image transfers onto panels, and then hung them all as a big installation, so that I didn't keep any back, like, oh, that one wasn't very good, or that was it. And I just shared my process, not just as process or practice, but as the thing itself. As artists, it's like people only ever see like the end piece, which this is still in process. So I just wanted to validate this important experience for me and I don't know, the edges now are so worn, from being in my bag and taking it with me, really having that sense of, this is me, this is the way that I work, this process is integral to me and my expression as an artist. And I don't think I knew that before Morocco. I think, after all these journals, it's like it took me that long to recognize that what I was doing was like art or even expression. So that was a good experience. Not too long ago, maybe last year, I took a class online with Heinrich Drescher, who's a fabulous artist and illustrator. And he taught a class called The Seated Notebook. And we made this ourselves. And then I went back in and I am using it as a sketchbook of some sort. So this is what the pages looked like before. We glued in a bunch of stuff. And then here, I think this is at the was at the Nuclear Museum for that Urban Sketchers group. And so just adding things. So this will, have some sort of image. So I'm thinking of using this for this class for field notes, and see where, I can take some of this stuff. Because this was a super fun book to make, and it might still be available. It's at Carla Sondheim's website, probably just www.carlasondheim. And she's got a lot of cool classes there too, but his class was amazing. So after all that, and it's like I either like my red books or I like, my black. Going back to the square, I decided I like the round covers of the square and this little thing, and I like my red, but I need a portrait size book. So I started this, and gosh, there's a lot of notes in here. Kind of, I don't know when is this? So this looks like 2021 that I started this. So there's some stuff from the Balloon Fiesta. So this is what all the books look like at the beginning. Sort of just a little bit here, a little bit there. More these Balloon Fiesta, the kissing bumblebees. They're so cute. I don't know what this is, roofs or something. And here I am trying. I like to try different pens, but I never feel very happy with them. So I'm just adding things here, experimenting, trying to figure out how that roof went. Notes, scribbles. This, we went to Santa Fe for the Urban Sketchers, but again, I feel like, I don't know, it's shitty. Maybe not shitty, but it's not anything yet. Like, it's still waiting to become, I always feel better with figures. I'm a little bit better than that than architecture. More stuff in Santa Fe. I'm fast. I just want to get it on there and be done with it. Like, I'm not interested in shading or shadow. So I'm just pretty much a line person. And this is nice in this book that this little ribbon is here. I don't really use it. I glued in the map from Santa Fe. Another urban. So it looks like really Well, the only thing I've done in here is mostly with the Urban Sketchers. This was at Alvado here. And, yeah, so there's still a lot that's, oh, maybe I did some, oh, I think I turned it over a trip to Utah. So what'll end up happening, and I hate this book. I'm just not drawn to it. I'm not really interested in working in it. I just feel like, oh, I want to be with you. I don't want to be in you. But this is the book that I'm working in. So this is probably the other one I'll work in for this class. But that's always how it starts. I just do all this stuff, and it seems like it sucks. Another sucky drawing, another shitty thing. But it's as I go back and layer. So I want you guys to not be so attached to, that first drawing, or, that just think of it as like, it's just the first layer. And it may or may not be done, and you just allow yourself to move on and keep working, because it really, you're not going to discover your process in a week or even 4 weeks. Like, you can see this takes years. Like, if I'm looking at what I've done here since 2012, this is a lot of work and a lot of trying to figure out and discover new ways. So I brought, so this is kind of cute. It's not quite a necklace, but it's on this string. A friend gave this to me, and it has a little sewing thing, like a little, and it was so cute. So, your sketchbook could be like a little necklace book, okay? That's pretty cute. And I brought this one back out. I saw this in the video where I was talking about, hey, this would be a great sketchbook. You can see I've still never worked in it, but I loved that idea, and I thought, wow, this really would be a good sketchbook. And I didn't, it's got Braille paper in it, so that would be a cool texture. When I was thinking about it for a visual journal, it was like, well, how am I going to work on top of that? I don't know what to do with that. So I was glad to be inspired by my own video about a book that I could use that's going to be really great and fun. So a couple other things I wanted to show you guys is, I take some books. You can use any kind of book for your sketchbook. So this is an altered book. And I have a book process that I call the Reconstruction Journal. And this isn't exactly that, but I did take out all the pages. So here's the original page, and then I cut it there. And then what I did was, I go to these figure drawing groups. I was going every week. I've also not been there lately either. And I like drawing on different kinds of paper, just like in the sketchbook. I like things to be layered and look different. So I don't bring regular paper, and this is like a 1-minute drawing. This one I did actually in the book. So this sketchbook was fun. It's not quite done, but almost. It was just with the figures, just from the figure drawing group, and experimenting with that. Like I said, some of these were drawn in here. Some of these were drawn on separate pieces of paper like this, and then glued in. And just different sizes, it doesn't have to be all the same height. So this is an altered book as sketchbook. And, sketching can really be anything. And this is another one that I did, an altered book, and the title is The Illustrations of Frederick Remington. And so the real title now is Me and Remington. In the book, and this bothers me about published books, like when there's like a picture and then blank space, I feel like that's a waste. You wasted that. So this is the same idea of the other one. I probably started with this one first, where I did the figure drawings there, and again, some of them I did there, some of them I added in. So it's really just a minute drawing, trying to capture. And his sketches are all, these kind of manly men, warriors, army guys. And so then I have these, vulnerable female figures in here. So I loved having, his drawings and his sketches with my stuff. And it's a little bit hard to work in. Something about the binding doesn't quite lay flat. But this is, I'm still working on this. It's almost done. But I love the juxtaposition of his really excellent drawings. Remington, he could, probably just do this from his memory. He wouldn't even have to look at it. But with the shapes of my, really quick drawings, so some of his things I work back into. Some of I collage some of his pictures back in. So here we are, we two artists working together to create this sketchbook of figures. And okay, here's another little guy. I mean, these are too little, but maybe you have something that you're thinking about that would be great, like a tiny little thing. Maybe it's a flower or a leaf, and you just draw a leaf. So there's lots of ways that you can go and study things. They can be big books, little books. So then I decided that, this was such a great book and that I should get another one like that. So I bought it once. It's the same book, and it just instantly fell apart. I had to clip the pages in because the minute I opened it, it's like every page fell out. And I must have been working on this, trying to figure out a book that I was going to make. Yeah, all the pages keep falling out. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I glued this on and I really like it, that red. So I'm drawn to it, but I'm not working in it. This is also an older book. I don't know if I showed it in any of the videos, but another one of these, I think it's called Hand, the rounded corners. And I had a lot of really bad drawings in here, and then I went back over and I taped over things and I painted over things. So again, I think what I have here is like the background for another and new journal. So you can see this is with the markers. So this is a really long time ago, because I don't do that anymore. But I think I'm in Puerto Vallarta, and I don't have a date on here. Maybe it's 2006. Let me just see. 2005. I don't know. I hate it when I don't put dates. So that's a point for you guys. Always remember to date your pages, and we'll talk about that in the class. But and because I do so many layers, what I try to do over here is date it each time I work on it. And sometimes I forget, sometimes I just date it when I'm finished. But I mean, I could have been working on that page for years, and I can see different aspects of maybe different eras. If there were things going on at that time, maybe there's words or something. So I know that it's from some other time, but I'm not really sure, and I don't remember things so well anymore. But these will all be an interesting book to work back into and sort of remake a sketchbook. This is something that someone gave me that's super nice. I'm not going to use it. I really love it. I just haven't decided quite what to do with it. Look at these signatures in here. It's really beautiful. I mean, it might be a great grimoire or a pirate journal. I don't know. I just love this. I love this key on it, the way that it feels so old, like a manuscript. And this, I don't think I showed it in any of those videos, but I've had this for a long time. It's a Japanese accordion book. I showed you guys a littler one, but this one is really big, so this is amazing. Wow, and the paper is really interesting. It's intimidating. It's big. So it might be a better, planned drawings rather than just drawing out in the field, but that would be interesting, for me to challenge myself and use a really big book and try to do that. I'd have to, my big pen would probably be too fine of a point for something like that. I'd have to change up my material, so that would be good. So I recently had a show of all my journals and sketchbooks since 1987, and I called it Archive of Memory, and I had about 90 books in there, something like that, and that was really amazing to do that. And I made some other books for it because I wanted to have some stuff on the wall that people could flip through. And I never finished this. I just took all the pages out of the book block, took the book block out, and then just sewed in other things, like some maps and things from another show I had, and just did some quick painting. But as I was recently looking at it, I thought, wow, there's some good stuff for drawings here. So I'm thinking now, because I was going to try to finish it just with some mixed media, but I'm thinking this would be a really cool sketchbook. Oh, I got it upside down. Sketchbook. So I'm thinking about that. And I teach a workshop online called the Reconstruction Journal. And that's where we take a book and alter it, found book, and make it into a book. So you can also make your sketchbook through the Reconstruction Journal class. And then in my studio, I taught the Reconstruction Journal, but the map book. And we made pages with maps. So this is just, the beginning of the book. It's just sort of like the beginning of a sketchbook. It's just kind of a mess. But this would be an interesting book to turn into a sketchbook. Again, it would be a little bit big for me, but maybe that's a good thing for me, just to shake it up a little bit. Try something new for myself and take a new direction and see where it all takes me. So I'm really excited to get back into field notes again. I'm really glad that all you guys are here to join me, and I'm excited for us to find our process and learn about our practice. Like, that's what the sketchbook is. It's a birthing ground. It's an exploration place. Thank you for joining me in Field Notes. I'll see you guys in class.